So today we're going to talk about Internet of Everything. I will give you a little bit of overview of what Qualcomm is doing in that area and what are the challenges and opportunities here. And then we go to some overview of because Qualcomm has a venture arm, corporate venture capitalist arm that invests in startups. So I'm going to give you the overview as well. And then we can, if time allows, enter to the question and answer. So do you all know Qualcomm? Please raise your hand. Who knows Qualcomm? Oh, it's a lot. Because usually, if you ask consumers, they don't know Qualcomm, because nobody knows that the chip inside the mobile phone is from Qualcomm. So just very short introduction. So the company was founded in 1985, and we are a semiconductor company. Last year we sold more than 900 million chipsets that is going to the smartphones primarily, and also to cars for modem. And it's about 2.5 million units per year on average. And we see still a large smartphone growth going forward. So we expect from 15 till 19 about 8.5 billion smartphones to be shipped. Last year it was about 1.8 billion. The total phones, and more than 50% was smartphones. But of course, we see, as many of you, the Internet of Everything, or M2M, as a major growth area as well. So we're going to talk about it. Let me see it. Okay. So, evolution of wireless. What happened? I mean, if you look back 2002, I remember even 90s, in the early 90s, that time I was working at Deutsche Telekom. So we were defining GSM, and GSM turned out to be a huge success. I remember we went then around 95, 96. When you traveled to the US and you wanted to make a phone call, you were basically roaming if you just crossed the street. There was a huge book where you had to look up which roaming partner and what price you have to pay and so on. So very complicated in the US, very fragmented. And in Europe, we really managed to set up the standard. But it was about voice only at that time. And so around 2002, this voice communication surpassed the fixed voice. You see, so we as an industry redefined telephony, okay? And then around 2010, of course, afterwards, it's about data communications. We had the auction in Germany, for instance, 100 billion of Deutsche Mark at that time for the UMTS frequencies. And 2010, redefined computing, again, as an industry. All partners together, operators, the infrastructure vendor, application developers, and semiconductor companies. In 2010, we surpassed the fixed internet, like DSL and cable and so on. So we also surpassed this milestone. And now it's about redefining everything, really connecting everything to everything. And connectivity is really, if you talk now about IoE, connecting everything together, connectivity is at the center of our strategy. So, because once you have connectivity and you connect everything with everything, then these things interact together, and then you can add intelligence to it, computing intelligence, and really making a business model, a service out of it. But this requires, of course, partners, Qualcomm being one of in the value chain. And it's not only about. So we believe a lot in wireless, but not only LTE or 3G or GSM. This is, of course, very important, and we come to that. But also, the short-range communication, where you use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And this all together, whatever connectivity measures you have, I think we should use to make the good end-to-end experience. I see my time doesn't go down, so I have all the time 30 minutes, but it's fine. It doesn't go. Oh, now it's going down. Okay, yes. So Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and so some of you might know that Qualcomm is actually known for the LTE and 3G part. But we acquired some time back the company called Atheros that really adds to us a lot of scale in Wi-Fi. And basically, almost every smartphone that has a LTE and 3G modem also has a Wi-Fi chip inside, meanwhile. And then in Bluetooth area, that was actually also one thing that Qualcomm was especially in connectivity of Bluetooth personal communication, where you don't need a HLOS, a high-level operating system. This was missing, and I think this was accomplished by the acquisition of CSR that I think you showed the video of, this Bluetooth technology. They have a very strong Bluetooth portfolio, and we're really happy to have the team in our group now. And I don't know whether you heard about Gigaset, the phone company that uses DECT. They also want to enter the smartphone segment. They introduced last week at IFA, pre-IFA, the new smartphones, high-end smartphones. And actually in these smartphones, they have also the CSR aptX technology that, with Bluetooth, you can wirelessly transfer audio in CD quality. So Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, LTE, Zigbee, whatever technology is there, I think is important that we use all the assets we have. But if you look, talking now about cellular, if you look at LTE, okay? I mean, at the end of the day, we need to work all together. So LTE, so we are providing the chipsets. Then you have the infrastructure part, right? Like Ericsson, Nokia, and so on, Huawei. And then you have the network operators, and then you have developers. So all this together will give an end-user service. But if you look at LTE, of course, in the smartphone area, we are reaching now peak data rates already in a network of 300 megabit per second in Germany. We did a trial with Deutsche Telekom, for instance, that. And we already showed 600 megabit per second, okay? So the operators, they don't want to, usually, I mean, for M2M to have a separate network, another network. And that's why what we have to do, and we are in the process of doing that in the standardization bodies, to really, take the same LTE and scale it down. You don't need 600 megabit per second for low power wide area networks, right? You just need a fraction, some hundred of kilobytes maybe. You don't need, to be always on, always connected. You don't need full duplex, okay? So all these things, we have to scale it down, and that's happening. And then there are, new device categories, we call it, that are coming up, like the LTE Cat 0, which is now, I think next year, you're going to see also products in that. And then the category M, which is even more narrow band, going over only 1 megahertz. That's really, we're going to have products of that end of next year, beginning of 2017. So this is really, reducing the complexity, reducing cost, because there is this magic number that, as you know, people say GPRS modules are about $10, $9, something like that. So if you want to really get to this level, or even going beyond or below this level to maybe even $5 or $6, we need on the one side really to reduce the complexity, and that's what we are doing, I think, in the standardization as a partners of the ecosystem. But the second thing is we also need scale. It's a chicken and egg. If you don't reach scale, because some people ask me, okay, why don't you, Qualcomm, give me a $5 chip? Well, I can, but I need to sell, first of all, 100 million of chip to really get the economies of scale to get to the price level. It's similar like if you compare Ultra HD 4K video. I was at IFA yesterday. If you compare that, the prices that was there like 2 years ago for a TV, you had to pay 20,000 euro. Now they are getting affordable in mid-segment. For a couple of thousand euro, you can buy Ultra HD TVs because scale is happening. The same has to happen here. And therefore, it's very important that we focus, in my view, our efforts on a few promising technologies like LTE-M or CIoT, which is even going below that in terms of data throughput and battery life for the devices. So as an example of Internet of Everything application, you can imagine of this Hitachi, for instance, introduced this restreaming service. So with Bluetooth, you cannot, stream to many devices. It's a point-to-point personal communication. So with this product, for instance, what you could do is to stream Spotify music to your smartphone. So for that, you need bandwidth, right? Or more bandwidth. Then at home, the smartphone would then stream it to one central device, speaker of Hitachi in this case, and they would then synchronously restream it to all speakers at home. It might be one might be in the kitchen, one might be in the first floor, And these are the things of services that you can do, adding connectivity and bringing some interaction to the whole. Okay, another example of, if you think of M2M IoE, is automotive. I mean, this is now a case where you need more bandwidth again, right? I mean, I had some automotive clients that we talked to. They say LTE, I want to have the latest LTE, I want to stream 4 videos in my car, So, okay, this is not the M2M that, we usually talk to in these conferences, these billions of devices. This is okay, it's a very good segment still. I think already today we are working with 40 plus automotive manufacturers worldwide, and we already sold 20 million modems to auto companies or automotives. There are cars with 20 million cars have already the modems of Qualcomm inside. So but it's going. There is more opportunities here, not only for Qualcomm, I think for the whole industry, because you can then enter the entertainment segment, to offer multimedia services, similar like the phone. So this is of course one example that is very important, especially in Germany. Then the second category, I would say wearables. We didn't talk about that much. I mean, if you take the fitness whistle that many people use, that's also one example again to show how things play together. So first, you want to measure your heart rate and your steps, how many steps you take. Then suddenly you want to have to screen because you want to show your calories on this fitness whistle. Then some people might like to have, while they are running, they want to see the missed calls or the calls they are getting. So suddenly you need a modem inside. So it's gonna have a smartwatch. You see, but it is not like, I wish it was, but it is not like, you make a research and the customers tell you, I need this and this and this. Yes, you get a lot of information from that, but I think at the same time, it's also important that we, especially we as Qualcomm, show what is important from technology point of view, so that people, see the possibilities and then think, oh yes, I can use this technology for my purposes. One example, I mean, from other industries is the Sony Walkman. I mean, nobody asked for the Walkman, but when it came, it was so popular that everybody had it, or the MP3 players, right? So wearables is definitely also a big area in combination with these glasses and augmented reality, virtual reality, cameras, and so on. And also here you need, dependent on the wearable type, sometimes you need higher bandwidth, sometimes lower bandwidth, sometimes you need high latency requirements, sometimes you need low. So it's not generally, it depends on the case by case. I don't know why it's... Okay, and also we believe a lot in healthcare as well. So due to the aging population, especially in the Western European, countries, I think it's clear that technology can really help to reduce costs. And we have developed a platform called TuNet that we are selling to hospitals or to physicians or to system integrators. We're not selling to end users. That interacts with medical devices, and in a medical grade manner, transfers the information from the TuNet to a cloud. But of course, for the end-to-end, let's call it experience for the patient, somebody, the hospital or the doctor, has to also take this data and do something with it. In terms of evaluating the data and processing the data, it's not only about measuring and sending it somewhere. So for end-to-end, many parties have to be involved, and that's a little bit also the challenge, because each of these members in the chain has also to make money, has also have to share in the value chain, and that's a little bit the challenge, but we are getting there. We are seeing good traction. Smart cities is in other areas, smart parking, smart transportation. You look for a parking place, you can via M2M services, IoE, find your parking place in the garage. So I'm not going to go into much detail on that. And then last but not least, also drones is something that we are seeing in the US, and I think it's going to come to Europe as well. A use case, a very use case for that already is like flying camera, drones for flying camera, as a flying camera. We had actually a year ago in San Diego a soccer tournament internally, and then I was watching the drones over us, how they are filming, and so they really were filming our matches, and we could then watch it later on, and very good quality. But this will then also continue to other applications. So drones is another area. Okay, this is, again, the slide showing the LTE, how you reduce the complexity. Today we are using minimum 20 megahertz of bandwidth. You don't need it for low power wide area networks. You need maximum 1 megahertz, and even in CIoT you have 200 kilohertz. So with this you reduce complexity and cost. But again, for really to getting to this $5 or $6, you need scale. There's no way to start right away with $5 cost just because you do that, Okay, and this is another slide. I skipped that due to time reasons. So now coming to the venture side, because this is about the investor panel. So Qualcomm has a venture arm called Qualcomm Ventures. It's a corporate venture. And, we have, this was formed in 2000, and it's all over the world. Also in Europe, we have in UK a couple of people handling investments in the European markets. And we have, as of today, more than 130 active investments, and more than 20 investment managers taking care of investment in the startup scene. And the key benefit for us, of course, first of all, we get access to technology expertise, and then we can use these startups to really make them grow, and then we get also an external view of how others are thinking, what are they doing, so that this is matching to the Qualcomm's core assets. And so we were the most active global VC, venture capitalists, in mobile and telecom in 2014. And to give you a number, in 2014, around $37 billion was invested globally in mobile startups. This is twice as big as 2010. So there is a lot of money pouring in these mobile startups. And in the areas we are investing, a lot of it is software and platforms. Hardware as well, but lower. Consumer applications, healthcare, we talk about it, and consumer devices. I give you then some examples of that. This is the breakdown, So IoT is not really, IoT is something that is going across it, so we don't have a category for IoT, but to give you an example of IoT, we invested in a company called August, like the month August. And what they are doing is they are having a smart lock that is very interesting. So basically you could, via encryption, assign to, let's say, the family members, automatic lock that these people can use 24 hours over 7 days, so every time. But then you can also make limited and temporary assignment to, let's say, the cleaning lady or someone who is coming just for a few hours to your home, so that this person can come and enter the home automatically via this mechanism. So no keys needed, no physical keys needed. But you can also make it happen that when the person is going out, the lock is automatically going to be locked down, and these kind of things. So this is something that we invested in. Another example is LifeX, L-I-F-X, which is a smart bulb. So you can control via your smartphone the intensity of the light and other things you can do with it. But outside of the Qualcomm venture, of course, the most recent acquisition in this IoE area is the CSR acquisition that I talked about earlier. Yes, this is IoT, is really the center of our focus, but also robotics and cloud. And I mentioned the name LifeX and August. So some case studies where we invested in. So one company we invested in is Fitbit, which is the, for fitness. So we invested in that company, and I think this is a very successful company already, selling millions of these Fitbit devices or wristles. Another example, besides the ones I mentioned, August and LifeX, we also invested in, even I didn't know that, to be honest, Xiaomi. Xiaomi is, meanwhile, I think the #1 smartphone producer in China already. What they are doing is, sounds simple, right? They make a high-end profile at a low cost and direct distribution channel, online channel. That's it. In China, it's working. Very successful company. And we invested in the company when the valuation of the company, according to the people that do the financing round, was around $1 billion. I think recently, some months ago, when there was a next round of financing, the valuation was more than $45 billion already of this company. But that's how it is. In venture capital, I think we're going to talk about it later on, is you have a portfolio of companies, and then I would say 1/3 you really lose your investment. 1/3 you maybe, if you're lucky, make what you put in, get out. Let's say you put $1 million, you get it after 5 years back. But then there's a 1/3, hopefully, that really make it, really give you back a good return that you can really cover the whole fund.
I would be worried if I was an investor on the model as described. I'm sure there's more to it, because you say there's a third that will lose money, a third that will kind of break even, and a third that make money. That sounds to me like it's just going to break even.
No, it's a rule of thumb that people, if you have startups, because basically what you're getting if you talk to these companies, you get an idea, basically. I mean, extreme case. You get an idea, a one-pager, and then you have to really, what we are doing, we look at the management team. That's very important for us, because we don't manage the company. Yeah. So if we think the management team will make it, we invest in the company, and as a rule of thumb, I didn't say that this is, in our case, the case. Rule of thumb, what people in the industry is saying is, usually in early-stage companies, there is 1/3 that you lose, 1/3 make the investment, and the 1/3, there might be one that makes 10 times the return. Yeah. That really pays off for all the other.
Like Xiaomi.
Like Xiaomi. So all in all, you make really, if you do it right, and you are a little bit, you need also luck, There's no way that based on a paper, whether it will make it. But you need also to be a little bit luck also, but also good judgment. Then you will really make it. Yeah. It's really worthwhile to do it.
But looking at Qualcomm's share price lately, I think you've been doing okay.
Well, it could be better actually these days.
Well, in the last few days maybe, but general trend over a long picture is looking good.
Yeah, let's see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.